Welcome, fam. What's going on with y'all, man? It's OG Camera Boy here again. You know how I do. That's right. Again and again. Cameras and cameras and cameras. That's what we do around here. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, wanted to welcome y'all. If this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you coming back, hey, I appreciate you. No doubt. No doubt about it. Anyways, today I was going to do a video for y'all about something totally different than what I'm going to be talking about. Tell you the truth. I woke up this morning like I was going to do a video about this here camera that I picked up the other day. Came in the mail. Bought that off of eBay. I ain't going to tell you what it is because that's going to be in the next video. But I decided to do something totally different. Took a left turn because guess what, man? I was looking at a little bit of YouTube this morning when I was eating my oatmeal and that sort of thing. And I seen a video by Matti Haapoja. I don't know if y'all know who he is. Probably do. Go check him out if you don't. His channel's dope. He's got some good tips, man. Camera tips on photography, videography, and all that stuff that we enjoy watching and learning about. So check him out. Anyways, his video was comparing the R5 to the newest iPhone 12 Pro Max, whatever the hell it is, the newest one, top of the line, you know what I'm saying? So he's doing a comparison video between the Canon R5 and the iPhone 12 Max. Yeah, he done that. I did. I think Potato Jet, the one that kind of inspired a lot of people to take that avenue as far as like making videos about things that are like crazy different, you know what I'm saying? Cinema camera versus cell phone, crazy high-end DSLR versus cell phone, crazy high-end mirrorless camera versus cell phone. So yo, what's I got to tell you, man? I got to tell you that cell phones coming a long way, man. People are starting to respect the cell phones as far as their capabilities when it comes to photography and videography. Personally, I'm not necessarily in that camp, you know what I'm saying? I'm not somebody who's going to be grabbing for a cell phone if I had the option for a camera. I'm always going to take the camera, you see, because I think the camera is just a perfect tool when it comes to it, you know what I'm saying? It's a tool designed for the exact application, whereas a cell phone is more of like a jack of all trades. But more and more, I have to admit, cell phones are getting better, you know what I'm saying? But they just can't compete, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's pretty obvious to me when you see a cell phone picture or when you see a cell phone video versus you see something that come off one of these newer cameras, you know what I'm saying? Even older cameras, forget newer cameras, man. I'm talking about cameras like we always talk about on this channel, Samsungs and whatever. I don't think there's any cell phones out there that can compete with what Samsung NX cameras can put out as far as video quality, photo quality. Not even close, man. And as a matter of fact, that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to take my cell phone and I'm going to run it up against the Samsung NX500. Now, I just sort of arbitrarily chose the Samsung NX500. I could have chose one of the other ones, to tell you the truth. And honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you and give you a little bit of hint for the next video coming up and what I was going to do today, I was going to put up cell phone against a totally different camera, but let's do the NX500 because that's a popular one everybody likes to watch and look at. So okay, we're gonna do it that way then. First, I just want to talk a little bit about the cell phone situation, man. So with cell phones, man, we're talking about computational photography, and yeah, computational photography has definitely come a long way. And I could tell you, as somebody who dabbles in astrophotography, computational photography is really important, man, for certain things. You can't get those shots if you don't have the ability to digitally enhance, you know what I'm saying? And that's what computational photography is. But I know we all do it. I mean, we all use Lightroom, we all use Photoshop. We're trying to improve our photos. Most of us probably shooting in RAW, and when it comes to RAW, we're trying to bring out what it is that we have as far as information is involved in the picture and the post-production of it. So yeah, I guess you could say that that's a little bit of digital enhancing, no question about it. But the difference with the cell phone is that all that digital enhancement is being done by the phone, in phone, for the final product. My Google Pixel shoots RAW, and I take pictures with it in RAW, and I have edited some of those pictures in the past, but I mean, they're okay. It does do a decent job. If it's the only camera you have, use it, man. I've seen nothing wrong with that. I mean, be honest with you, obviously there's plenty of situations where I've had nothing but my cell phone on me. So yeah, I'm gonna shoot that picture with the cell phone. Yeah, I'm gonna catch that video with the cell phone. And that's why I think they differ. I think the video quality on the cell phones have actually gotten a lot better than what I would say the photography side of things is. You know what I mean? I know everybody's all on that Instagram and everything, wants to take pictures of themselves or take pictures to post and all that sort of thing. So you would think that the photography aspect of it has come a long way, and it has, you know what I mean? There are certain things that algorithmically have gotten a lot better. There's no question about it. I mean, the software that's behind these cameras is pretty impressive, you know what I mean? At least the ones that are in the cell phones I'm talking about. And yeah, they're doing these crazy things now where they're kind of like reproducing shallow depths of field and blurry background, bokeh and all that sort of thing. But it's just not real, man. It's just not real. When I see it, to me, it really does look fake. I don't care. Even the best application of it is still not there. It doesn't reproduce what you can actually get from something that will optically give you that natural look. You know what I mean? I know they try and they've gotten better at it, and maybe I'm going to eat my words one day, man. Down the line, it's going to be pretty good. I mean, maybe it'll be just as good, so as to the point where it's indistinguishable from what you can get out of one of these nice wide open large aperture kind of lenses on DSLRs, mirrorless, whatever it happens to be, you know what I'm saying? But for now, don't compete, man. In my opinion, you could tell it's pretty obvious, you know what I'm saying? The lines just, there's no fading. It's very obvious as to where the depth of field starts and where it becomes extremely sharp. And I think that's another thing that cell phones got to kind of dial it back on, but it's something that they have a hard time doing because of the fact that it's such a small sensor, such a small lens, is that they tend to over sharpen things a lot. And I think that comes from the fact that the whole principle behind computational photography is to take several different images, stack them to try and get as much of a sharp image as you can. You know, that's how I do astrophotography, at least when I shoot planets, say, for example. Even when you're going to do things like deep space objects, you know what I mean, whether it's nebula or star clusters or something like that, you have to stack different exposures, different images one after the next, and the more the better, you know what I mean, because the more that you have, the more information you have to extract from, and then you'll be able to get a sharper image. And I think that's the principle behind what some of the system softwares do on these cell phones. As far as computational photography is concerned, they stack images, you know what I mean, because they have an electronic shutter, they can capture these crazy high frame rates, and then they have like a huge sample size that they're able to kind of stack and make a pretty decent looking image out of. I mean, my Google Pixel XL, which is a couple of years old now, and I have no intentions of replacing it, it does that. I mean, as far as like HDR is concerned, you know what I'm saying? It has an HDR function, and honestly, it does work pretty well. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, you can get away with, you know, using those images for certain circumstances. There's no question about it. You know, if you want to post something on Instagram, I mean, you could definitely get away with it, you know what I'm saying? And they actually have a pretty few interesting little features too, as far as like night sight, I think is what it's called. You could put it on night sight, where it takes pictures at night, and it's incredible because the sensor's so small and the lens is so small that you think to yourself, like, where does it get all this information to be able to like extract a pretty clean looking image at night? Well, it does that computationally by stacking images. I suspect, I mean, that's my interpretation of it. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's just what I think about it. But anyways, the point is that, yeah, it's impressive. It does do certain things that, you know, in a pinch, you can use it, man. No question about it. It's definitely worth using. So there is that, you know what I mean? But given the option, I'm never going to take a smartphone over a camera. I mean, I could take a camera from like 6 years ago and it's still going to beat the cell phone of today, man. Top of the line or whatever. But here's the reality of it. I mean, you know how much an iPhone 12 Max costs? Me neither. But I know it costs a hell of a lot, man. A lot. It's definitely over $1,000. That's for sure, man. Talking about $1,000, man. I can get a camera for like $200 to $300 that will kill it as far as camera performance is concerned. Obviously, I can't make a phone call on that camera, so you know, from that perspective, it's useless. But as far as we're talking about cameras here, man, we're talking about the video quality, we're talking about the photo quality. Yo, this camera's gonna kill it, man, every which way, shape, or form. So I thought it'd be interesting, instead of taking the highest of the highest, because most of us don't even own those cameras. I mean, how many of us have R5s? Do you? I don't. I don't even think I want one, to tell you the truth. I mean, they're great cameras, no question about it, but like, I have no intention of buying an R5. I have a lot of cameras, a lot of really good ones, including the one I'm shooting on right now, which I'm going to do in a future video. I ain't going to tell you what it is. Maybe you can guess. If you can guess, write in the comments below. I'll acknowledge if you're close, but I won't tell you if you're right. Point being, man, not all of us have these crazy cameras. Not all of us have the top of the line phone. As a matter of fact, I think I saw recently statistics talking about the new Samsung S21 or whatever it was. Or I might even go back to the statistics referring to the Samsung S20. Because what happens when these companies release their new phones, the new iterations of their phones, is that in the onset, the initial portion of it, like the first few weeks or whatever, they're selling a lot of the high-end versions of their phones, the high-end iterations. Those are the ones like 12 Pro Max or whatever it happens to be, you know what I mean? But there are other iterations of it that don't necessarily carry all the same features, and these days the features seem to be delineated by the fact that one's got a better camera performance than the next. So the reality is that the one with the highest camera performance is the one that is least sold. It's the model that's underneath that doesn't have those camera performances in it that is the one that most of us are carrying around, if we even have that. I'm sure most of us are holding on to our cell phones, to tell you the truth, longer than just 1 year. And I mean, every year, obviously, obviously we're seeing improvements and all that sort of thing. And when you talk about smartphones, that's generally where the improvements are coming in at, man. They're coming in mostly on the camera side of the performance aspects of things. So my phone is several years old. I have no intention of replacing it. I'm sure maybe a lot of you, your phones are several years old. Maybe a couple of you do have the newest phone or whatever it happened to be, but not everybody does. So I thought it'd be interesting to take an old camera, put it up against an older phone, and let's see, man. Let's see. You tell me if you think it's worth it. If you have one of these phones, like I'm going to use the Google Pixel XL and put it up against the Samsung NX500. So you tell me if the Google Pixel holds its weight, man, against this camera. Let's take a look at that.
Alright, here's a couple of videos that I took, one on top of the other. One is the NX500 and the other is the Google Pixel. Personally, when I look at it right away, I could tell which is which right off the jump. And tell you the truth, I'm sure you can too, you know what I'm saying? There's some very distinguishing characteristics of a cell phone video that are probably giving it away, but I'll reveal that in a few minutes. I'll let you study this for a second. I just want to say I filmed all this at 1080 at 30 frames per second just because I wanted to keep everything consistent for the timeline. So anyways, take a look at this, which one you think it is. Okay, take your guess. Bam, revealed. So I think it was pretty obvious, like I said before, that the bottom video was the Samsung NX500. You have that nice blurry background from that bokeh going on, you know what I'm saying, because I used a 16mm f2.4 lens on that one. Cell phone, everything's in focus as you'd expect, you know what I'm saying, plus with that electronic image stabilization, which isn't bad on the cell phone. You do get that shifting though once in a while that you might even notice like come from a GoPro. So what y'all think? Okay, so let's talk about low lighting situations. So we have the sun setting in the background. Can you tell which is which? I'm pretty sure once again you can, because I don't know, I don't make it that difficult, tell you the truth, but let's reveal it right now. This time Samsung on the top, Google Pixel on the bottom. I think it was pretty obvious. I'm sure you did too. You can see how the two cameras expose differently for the scenario, and obviously you got that bokeh in the background with the Samsung, and it just looks far more pleasing to the eye. Plus it's a lot less noisy, there's no question about that. So this little piece of video that you're looking at right now was me dialing it on the manual settings on the Samsung because I wanted to show you how dark it actually was outside. So this is if you were standing outside and what it kind of looked like. Take your guess, which is which? What's on top, what's on bottom? Samsung on top, Pixel on the bottom. So neither of these images is fantastic, I'll admit that. I got the Samsung cranked up to ISO 3200, which I normally wouldn't do. I wouldn't go past 1600. Up to 1600 I find it's okay. Anything past that you get an extremely noisy image, but obviously by comparison you can see how muddy the Pixel is when they're doing their noise cancellation or whatever it is, or noise reduction in camera, whereas the Samsung is just a far sharper image, but extremely noisy too. So neither great, but it is what it is at this light. So let's take a look at photos then. Let's see what we got here. You know, I think in photography it's going to be just as obvious as it was in videography. When you're trying to compare the two, which one is which, I mean, I tried to frame them up the same way. I tried to do the same composition for both. I'll give y'all a second to try and figure out which is which, and then I'll reveal them. So the Pixel obviously is going to decide everything for me. I just click the shutter to take the shot, you know what I'm saying? With the Samsung NX500, I did put it on full manual, but I did put the auto white balance on. So I didn't adjust the white balance. Normally I would with a color card, you know what I'm saying, or a white balancing card, but I didn't do that here. But you can see that obviously there's a huge difference in how the Pixel and the Samsung will decide as far as the light is concerned, what the white balance is. I found the Pixel very warm, and you can see in that last picture where there was some banding and everything like that. It just wasn't terribly impressive in many instances, but these pictures I did find impressive. The ones you're looking at right now, these are actually low light pictures that were taken with the Pixel and with the Samsung. And you can see that the Pixel actually does a half decent job with the computational photography for these low light images that I was fairly impressed with. So you tell me what you think.
Alright, so what you think, man? I mean, I admit that they do look half decent. In my opinion, I think the video performance of the cell phone is better than the photo performance. I just think that in a pinch, you could definitely use that video. If you somebody who wants to start a YouTube channel, you don't have the money or whatever it is, or you happen to have a cell phone in your pocket that can shoot 1080p or even 4K or whatever, but I'd still recommend 1080p like I'm shooting right now. This camera can shoot 4K, but the image files are just ridiculous, so big. It just doesn't make sense to me to shoot in 4K, especially for a talking headshot like this one. that, 1080p will do you just fine, man. If your phone can do it, hey, man, a lot of people get away with that at first. No doubt about it. Build yourself up like that. You can definitely get away with it. The image quality is half decent. I mean, obviously, you got to have good lighting because the situation is going to be, man, when the sun goes down or before dawn or after dusk, you're going to struggle. There's no question about it. But anyways, the reality is if you time it right, if you fix yourself up right with the lights, you can do just fine, man, on a cell phone, I guess. As far as video quality is concerned, you can even do just fine, I suppose, too, from the photo side of things. But if you're somebody who's a little bit more of an enthusiast like I am, and probably you are if you're watching this, then I don't know, it might not cut it for you, you know what I'm saying? Because to me, there's a certain aspect quality to it that I could define like this. When I see a nice image off of a camera, it's creamy, it's smooth, it's emotional. There's certain like characteristics to it that give it character, that give it some sort of artistic perspective. Whereas when you see a phone picture, I mean, I don't suppose it's impossible that you can get one that qualifies under those categories, but in general, I think that the way that they sort of come out, it's almost like a documentation. You know what I mean? It's like document versus art. That's what you're looking at when you're talking about camera versus cell phone. The camera just takes a picture that's more like art, and the cell phone just going to take a picture that's more like documenting a fact. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's not impossible. I mean, there are good photographers. Sometimes it's not even the equipment. It's the person who's taking the picture who know how to compose these things and take real nice images, even with cell phones, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like the sharpening and the contrasting, and it's just something about the cell phone quality at this point in time that it doesn't really apply, you know what I mean? It really doesn't apply very well, in my opinion, to photography. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't capture a nice image. You can, of course. And I'm not an expert or pro necessarily, but I do like to dabble with this. And I tell you that if it comes down to my preference, I'm grabbing my camera 100% of the time, no question about it. And the beauty of things like the Samsung NX500, as was noted in my last video and that Marcus Pix likes to talk about all the time, is that it's kind of small and portable, man. So if you match that up with something like the 30mm pancake lens, here, let me show you that. Check the size of this lens, man. You put this on your camera, and it'll be all right, man. You can walk around with this all day. Even that, put it in your bag. It doesn't take much space. There's no question about that, man. And you'll get amazing photos with this. This is f2. I have a 16mm that's wider, obviously. That's f2 for. And if you go on the manual tip, I mean, this is just for Samsung. I mean, we could talk about any kind of camera maker right now. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different type of cameras out there. Even if you want to just go with the point and shoot and forget carrying lenses around, man, you can get yourself a Canon G7X Mark II, a G9X, or a Sony ZV-1 or something like that. You know what I mean? These are just point and shoot cameras that have the lens built in, so it's even more compact. You put that in your pocket, you're good and ready to go. You know what I'm saying? You will get images out of that'll destroy any smartphone. But if you don't want to spend the money, you get away with it. And at the same time, if you in a pinch and it's all you got on you, you can get away with it, I guess. They've come a long way. They've come away to a certain point where you could say that now, when back in the days you couldn't say that. Now you can say, you know what, I guess I can use it. And maybe in 5-10 years, who knows? Like I said, maybe I'll eat my words and they'll surpass. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, the camera will be obsolete. They'll be carrying around a cell phone that's just as good, if not way better than the camera, and this computational photography thing will just surpass what even the optical quality of these older cameras and older designs can do. But I still think that I'm gonna stick with physics, you know what I'm saying, and deal with the optical quality of things over anything that could be digitally enhanced. So for my personal preference, it's always gonna be the camera, you know what I'm saying. If I can carry it along with me, I'm going to. There's no question about that. So tell me what y'all think about this, man. What y'all think about that comparison, you know what I'm saying? Write some comments down below, man. It's always good to hear from y'all. I appreciate you if you're watching this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe and all that bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Otherwise, man, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.